Happy World Oceans Day, everybody, and thanks for joining me on this very fine Saturday. Ocean Stories is back. Woo! Okay, amazing. I'm here by myself for the first time, and I have to say it does feel kind of weird and a little bit sad because I love recording with Sarah, but I am happy to be back. Today, we're going to be talking about Charlotte the Stingray, the scandal around her non-pregnancy, the shark encounters happening in Southern California these past few weeks, and I will update you about what's going on with Ocean Stories and what's going on in my life at the minute. So thank you for joining, and I hope that this is a good episode all by myself, first solo episode. Let's go. So as you may have seen on Instagram, Sarah is taking a step away from the podcast, and I thought it would be a good idea to just explain really briefly what's going on. The thing about this podcast is that it currently makes $0 and it takes quite a bit of work to produce, to find our guests and to edit the episodes, to market ourselves on social media. At least the way that we were doing it, it takes a good bit of a time investment, and for something that makes $0, it can be pretty difficult to motivate yourself. And basically what happened is that Sarah has some really cool opportunities to explore right now. She's getting more into the surfing world and the skating world, creating content. So be sure to follow her journey and what happens to her on Instagram at Postcard from Sarah. There's no drama. She's just decided that there are other opportunities for her to explore at the minute. We're all chill. I wouldn't have ever even been here in the first place if it weren't for Sarah. I wouldn't be in San Diego, and I would definitely have never done this podcast. So always grateful to her. We're still friends. And yeah, I'm here by myself now. Why am I continuing this podcast by myself? Why am I doing this all on my lonesome? Because I easily could have just said that I wasn't going to do it anymore too. But I thought I would quickly outline the major reasons why. Drinking some water before I really get into this. Possibly the biggest reason I've realized about why I want to continue working on this is that I love to have a creative project to work on. And I know that sounds selfish, but hear me out. It's really good for my mental health to have something to work on week after week that has a long-term goal, especially something so aligned with what I care about. I really care about the environment. I always have. I started college as a recycling educator as one of my side jobs and continued working as a sustainability coordinator. I do. I'm an environmental girly, sustainability girly. I find it to be one of, if not the most pressing issue of our generation. It's always been one of my biggest jams. And I'm especially interested in the ways that humans interact with their natural and built environment. I mean, that is my whole jam as a person. So I think to talk about the ocean in particular is really fun because the ocean is a total intersection of how humans interact with the environment, how they benefit from it. I mean, lots and lots of people live from the sea. They find their enjoyment from the sea, me included. I always want to live in coastal areas. So to have a side project, a passion project, if you will, that is so well aligned with what I like to do, that gives me a creative outlet that allows me to talk to really, really cool people, to learn new things all the time. I mean, it's something I just really enjoy doing. Another major reason is that I feel that there's so much room for improvement. I've always been really into journalism. Sorry, I'm talking all about myself right now. If you're listening to this and you don't care about me, you're probably like, what the heck? I would recommend that you skip forward because this is just going to continue being kind of boring. But when I was a kid, I wanted to be a broadcast journalist, and along the way, I got convinced that my voice was not good enough for broadcast journalism. The debate is still out on that one. I don't know if my voice is actually good or bad for broadcast journalism, but who knows? Let's explore audio journalism. I think there's a lot of ways that we can improve on that front still, and I want to keep learning and growing them. Like, I want to see how we can provide better value, how we can create better episodes, things that are more engaging. How can we deal with people's shortened attention span, but still make long form content? These questions are super intriguing to me, so it makes sense that I would continue the podcast. And I've told myself we're going to keep it going for at least another 6 months so that this podcast, Ocean Stories, can get to the 1-year mark. I'll reevaluate in 6 months, but when I first started, I very much went in thinking I'm going to do this for 1 year. And I decided that it's a good idea for me to keep doing it. And as much as I will really, really miss Sarah, I'm really excited to see what this solo era brings about. I have lots and lots of ideas. I kind of feel like we're just going to go crazy now. So please come along for the ride. If you made it through that whole little spiel about me, thank you so much. That being said, this podcast currently makes no money, but it would be super, super lovely to break even. Honestly, that's my biggest goal, just break even. Okay, so since it's the start of the summer and it's World Oceans Day, I feel like I'm not ashamed at all to say, please do a solid for the environment and buy a sunscreen that doesn't pollute the water and doesn't leave harmful chemicals in the sea that prevent coral from spawning, they prevent fish from reproducing, they mess up the natural cycles of the ocean. Okay, I'm talking about the sunscreens we put on our body, the products we put in our hair, we get into the sea, and it messes up the sea. I have been there before where I'm the person on vacation that doesn't have any sunscreen. I have to go to a random tourist shop and buy one that I know when I put that into the water, it is straight up like pouring harmful chemicals into the water. On top of that, not even going to get into that right now because we have an entire episode on it. These products disrupt our natural hormone cycles and hurt our physical systems. More research is coming out every day that these sunscreen products are not good for us or the environment. If you're looking for an excellent brand, I know just the one. Okay, it's Stream to Sea. Stream to Sea. We have a code with them. When you use the code Ocean Stories, you can get 10% off of your order, and you are directly supporting this show. I see it as a win-win. If you're listening to this, you at least care 1 inch about the environment and about the ocean, and I bet you're going to the beach this summer. And if you're getting in the water, you need a product that is not going to harm the animals in the ecosystems that you care so deeply about. Plus, you would be supporting this show, so I'm not ashamed to say that you should support them and support me too. Let's get into the other important updates in this world regarding the ocean, because 2 major things happened this past week that I really thought, okay, we have to talk about this immediately on the podcast. Charlotte the Ray. What is going on with Charlotte the Ray? We did an episode where we talked to Brenda Raymer. She is the founder and owner of this aquarium in North Carolina, where a stingray miraculously became pregnant through parthenogenesis. Okay, I don't remember how to say the word, but it's that. Parthenogenesis. I forget how to pronounce the word, but it's something like that. And this story basically blew up on TikTok because people were saying that she was impregnated by the shark that shares a tank with her, and people were saying that she was going to give birth to the very first ever shark stingray hybrid baby. Unfortunately, that was never actually true. Scientists came out and they completely debunked those claims. They were like, that's impossible. The reproduction is impossible. Sorry guys, this is actually just an immaculate conception, which in my opinion is even more impressive than a shark stingray hybrid baby. But in their most recent announcement, the team shared that Charlotte is no longer pregnant. She has a reproductive disease and medical experts are completely reviewing what's going on. They said that she's stable and she continues to show no decrease in appetite or activity. This is crazy. Okay, maybe nobody cares about this, but when we talked to Brenda on our podcast, this was headline news. She actually asked us to please not. There was actually media stipulations related to when we talked to her, because she has been on all these news outlets talking about Charlotte. This is for real TV headline news. And when we talked with her, it was a matter of days or weeks before she was due to give birth. Now it's been months and months later, and people are always leaving all these insane comments on Team Echo, that's the name of the aquarium, on their Instagram posts saying, when is she having her baby? When is she having her baby? When is she having her baby? The poor social media person that runs their account is probably like, guys, we have other animals besides this pregnant Ray that merit attention. And I feel that they've just been drowning in the hate and the pressure from the public to release information on this poor pregnant girl. Well, so much time has passed that I think they started to think, okay, I don't know what's going on with this pregnancy. I don't know what's going on. And now they've said she's no longer pregnant. Now people are hating on them, saying that the pregnancy was completely fake. They made it all up, and that it was just to get some publicity to the aquarium. Personally, if you were wondering what I don't think so. I think that Brenda and the rest of the team at this aquarium, I think they're really good-hearted people who got super excited about a potential scientific slash medical phenomenon happening in their own aquarium. And they confirmed that she was pregnant because they knew that she was carrying between 3 and 4 pups. So at some point, they did an ultrasound and they knew she was pregnant. Then TikTok blew the story up, okay? Social media is what really, really blew it up. And she was even quoted as saying that this story is a once-in-a-lifetime gift. This is a scientific phenomenon, and we're trying to use it as a way to share the experience of the wonders of the ocean world. Okay, they were using it as a way to like promote their aquarium, but also to connect people to the sea, which is what Ocean Stories is all about. But Charlotte is no longer pregnant. She has a reproductive disease. They haven't said anything else about her health status. I think it's still a developing story. So we are going to send amazing energy to Charlotte, healing energy, some may say. Imagine you're just a pregnant stingray and all of a sudden you become one of the most, I would say she is literally now a top 5 most famous stingrays of all time. And there are some other really famous stingrays on that list. So congratulations to Charlotte, and I'm also sorry about your reproductive disease. And yeah, let's just all send her healing energy and hope that whatever she is carrying inside of her, whether it's some pups, whether it's eggs, I don't really know, that she makes it out the other end okay, because she's certainly caused a stir in the marine biology community. And she's also made people like ask questions about the ocean and about the environment, which is pretty hard to get people to do. So hats off to you. Thank you for your work and for your sacrifices, Charlotte the Stingray. What else is going on in the world of the ocean this week? So Del Mar Beach is a beach that is north of San Diego by about 30 minutes, at least from where I am. And a man actually suffered a shark attack and was hospitalized with serious but non-life-threatening injuries to his chest, arm, and hands on June 2nd because he encountered a shark in the sea. He was part of a swimming group, from what I understand, and they were swimming 100 yards off of the shore. He started punching the shark and fighting back against the attack, which is insane for me to think about. And that actually led to injuries on his arms and hands. They immediately closed the beach, which I also find very interesting. And no other information, at least from what I can find online, has been released. I'm super glad and happy, of course, that the person that suffered from this incident is alive and well. It remains to be seen like how well that he actually is. It's just super interesting because obviously this has made major headlines all over California. I'm sure it's made headlines in other places as well, because it comes just after sharks were spotted in San Clemente, spelled San Clemente, that's a debate for another day, on May 27th, which was Memorial Day weekend. What happened was actually crazy when I looked into it. The only information that I can find is that a surfer reported to the San Clemente Lifeguard Services that he was bumped on his board by something on Sunday evening around 8 p.m. on May 27th. Further investigation of the Surfline footage. Okay, Surfline is this website that you can use to look at the state of the surf if you're a surfer and you want to see how the waves are. And sometimes they have webcams that monitor the waves, so you can go online and search up like Del Mar Beach, blah, 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 and they'll show you actually the break and like how it looks. They analyzed that footage and they analyzed the dings on the underside of his board to determine that that bump was a shark encounter. That is crazy to me that they somehow determined that that was a shark. I guess I don't know what else it could have been, maybe a seal, but ultimately, they determined that there was aggressive shark behavior in the area and they closed the beaches. But of course, it was Memorial Day weekend. So people just kept swimming and everything was fine. The main reason, though, that I wanted to bring this up was an average of 1.8 attacks per year have occurred in California on the West Coast during the last decade. That is such a small amount, considering the amount of people in California that go surfing and swimming every single day. It's still hard for me to wrap my head around. If you're at home thinking, or I don't know where you are listening to this, if you're, I don't know, in your car, wherever you are, and you're like, I don't really care about that statistic. If there's any risk, I'm not going to do it. I understand, because it's also mentally difficult for me to wrap my head around. Because what I'm thinking is like, okay, I don't really care if there's a 1 in a million chance that could be me. But when you actually think about it and the risks that we take, I'm sure that me eating spinach every day is like more of a risk of me contracting salmonella than me getting attacked by a shark. And this comparison we use all the time, but me getting in my car and driving around on the interstates here is much more of a risk to my life than swimming in the ocean from fatal car crash. I don't have the exact statistics on that right now, but I'm pretty sure you get where I'm going with this. Why is it so hard to wrap my head around the fact that even though there are way less chances of me getting bitten by a shark or attacked by a shark, that driving is a way more dangerous activity to indulge in? I don't know. I also found it really interesting that KTLA 5, which was the LA news station that was reporting on a lot of these shark encounters, incidences, continually used the word attack, 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 even in the case of the shark, quote unquote, attack, where the shark bumped a surfer's surfboard. I'm like, I'm not sure that qualifies as an attack. And on top of that, you're just perpetuating fear in people. Of course, we have to report on these things because it's super intriguing, but it's really interesting the unfair reporting that sharks constantly get, even in a place like LA, where I think that there's a lot more awareness of oceanic stuff. What do you think about this? I think we should continue talking about the way that sharks are talked about in popular media and in culture because, one, it's super interesting to me, and two, because the way that people talk about things impacts how much we care about them and what we think about them. And of course, we've mentioned this before, but the way that people talk about sharks, aggressive, violent, scary, aggressive shark behaviors, even just that term itself, it makes people have this certain perception of how they are as animals. And we've talked to lots of shark divers on this podcast, and as animals, they're actually not aggressive in terms of when people swim with them, their number one reaction is how peaceful it was. So it makes sense that the way we talk about them is influencing the fact that they are basically on the path to extinction because there is so much anti-shark propaganda. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's really interesting. And I think it's something we'll continue to talk about on Ocean Stories. Well, like I said, it's World Oceans Day, June 8th, in case you didn't know. And today I was just thinking about how lucky I am, honestly, to have spent so much time around and near the ocean in my life. And also how lucky I am that I got to talk to all of the cool people that we've talked to on this podcast, just to hear the passion and love in their voices for the ocean. I do think it's one of the most pivotal parts of our environment and one of the most neglected, like uncared for parts. I also think, like I said earlier, it's a huge connector zone between people and the natural world. Like going to the beach is spending time in nature, even if you're at the most overdeveloped Ocean City, Maryland beach in the world. Ocean City, New Jersey. I've never been there, but I've heard it's pretty similar. It's still spending time outside and spending time in the natural world. So I guess I would just end this episode out by saying Happy World Oceans Day. Let's all take a minute to think about how we can give back to the ocean in some way. I'm really looking forward to future episodes of Ocean Stories, even though now it's just me and I'm still navigating how to talk by myself. Even just recording this was kind of weird for me. I don't know if you can tell, because there's nobody there to react to what I'm saying. So over time, I should just get even better. Anyways, that was a divergence. I'm excited about the future because I want to talk more about sustainability at large. I want to talk more about how my daily life impacts the ocean. We've talked about this a lot before, but voting with your dollar is like a huge thing in terms of sustainability, the environment, capitalism, And that also means supporting brands and companies that are doing real life, real work to protect, conserve whatever the ocean. And that means not greenwashing. That means understanding nuance with some of these, initiatives regarding carbon emissions and things like that. I want to bring on more people onto this podcast that are founders of startups. As I mentioned in the beginning, I'm a very entrepreneurial girly, okay? I love talking to founders, and I think a lot of our listeners like that too. So I'm going to be talking to people that have companies that are actually trying to make capitalism work in a way that gives back, because unfortunately, capitalism's what we got right now, baby. But I'm also interested in talking to revolutionary people that want to break us out of capitalism and create like closed loop organizational systems that are changing up everything. I think all of this relates back to the ocean, because at the end of the day, the waste we create, the carbon emissions that we produce through our daily actions, through our travel, through the choices that we make, all of this impacts the ocean. I saw a reel about it from this creator that I really like called Lauren. Her name's Lauren, but her Instagram is @Lauren. She put up this video about how we are so often told that our individual actions don't matter. It's really hard to get motivated to do stuff and care about the environment when it feels like there are larger players out there, cough, cough, our governments, that are not doing anything to actually progress the mission of climate action or waste reduction in any real way. She was just saying that despite this feeling that our individual actions don't matter, they do. And do you know why? 16% of every retailers are offering plant-based milk options. Why? That's like a direct response to consumers picking plant-based milk options when they go to the store. Maybe that doesn't blow your mind, but it definitely blows my mind. A little bit of context, I've been plant-based since I was super young, which meant that when I was 13 and 14, I had to deal with questions from adults asking me, well, why are you vegetarian? Like, why does that even matter? Like, why does not eating animals even matter? Because you're really not going to make any difference, and blah, blah, blah. And it sucked. So it's honestly amazing to have seen over the course of my life the ways that plant-based options have become more and more available. There's almost no restaurant that doesn't have a veggie burger, vegetarian, even vegan option. And that's a direct result of people going to restaurants and saying, hey, I can't eat anything on this menu. If you want me to come here, you need to put something vegetarian on it. That applies to, if you don't care about food or food systems and that's just not your bag and you don't care about being vegetarian and that's not the way that you want to make an impact, that's fine, because this principle applies to every single industry. There's no reason that women that use beauty products and makeup products can't urge the beauty and makeup industry to change the products and ingredients that they are putting into their formulations so that we stop polluting the earth with them and we stop impacting, like, hurting our health with them. There's no reason that, I'm trying to think of another industry right now. Clothing. Oh my goodness. Duh. Clothing. The clothing industry is one of the number one threats to the ocean. I think I'll do an entire episode about fast fashion in general. If you guys are interested in that, please let me know. But there's no reason that consumers can't decide, okay, I want more sustainable clothing options. I want more sustainable fabric options. And the industry will respond, just like it has with plant-based milk. And I think it doesn't matter what your reasonings are behind any of these things. Voting with your dollar is a huge way to support the ocean. So what was my point in bringing any of this up at all? Because I went on a million tangents. My point is, happy World Oceans Day. I'm excited to bring on some guests to talk about silly topics, sustainability topics, entrepreneurial topics, vote with your dollar stuff, pretty much anything and everything you can think of relating to this big blue planet. If you've made it all the way to this point, I honestly can't tell you how appreciative I am of you. Our following on Spotify and Apple Podcasts is small but mighty, and the fact that even one person might have listened to this entire thing honestly just makes my entire day. So I actually had to just stop recording because I started crying. One thing about me is I'm an emotional girl. No, but I just started thinking about how I want Ocean Stories to be a place for connection. I want Ocean Stories to shine the spotlight on people doing really important work. And the fact that it has been enjoyable at all, any of our episodes for anyone, is a huge success, and I just can't wait to see what the future holds. I don't think this is the end of Ocean Stories, the podcast, or Ocean Stories as an idea. I really look forward to making an impact somehow in the future as this grows. Maybe we can do an in-person thing. Who knows? The world is our oyster. The point is that I'm grateful, I'm open to ideas, and I'm totally open to dialogue. So bring it on. And I'll see you soon with a new episode. I hope you have the most amazing day, and I hope that you get to spend some time in, on, or near the ocean. Bye!